I think now most people connected. I think we can kick off. Good morning, everyone. We are very pleased to welcome you to the first edition of the info sessions on the Horizon Europe Cluster 3. We warmly welcome and thank you for your interest. I'm Roya Ayazi. I'm the Secretary General from NEREUS, Network of European Regions Using Space Technologies. We are hosting today the webinar together with NEREUS, a Norwegian research organization, and my colleague Sumati will explain you shortly more. One word about NEREUS. NEREUS is a network of European regions in the sense of the level next to the national states. We entities according to the NUTS 2 definition. I share with you an overview where you can see our partner regions. We have 23 from across Europe. Here you go. And the Italian regions are the largest group of partner regions, but we have a good mix of regions with a long space traditions and regions that discover space as a new field, as a field for innovation, for new solutions, and for stimulating growth. The mission of the network is focused on the use of space in the sense of developing new services, products, and solutions for space, and better connecting the space and the non-space sector. Focus areas are Earth observation Copernicus. We have a large initiative with the European Space Agency and the Commission, Copernicus for regions. We will put the link for you in the chat that you can have a look. And we support our partners in all the different stages of the project circle. And in this context, we organize also info sessions on EU and ESA programs to spread the information, to link the community, and to better understand what is the focus of these programs. Having said so much, I'm pleased to give the floor to my colleague from the NORSE research organization. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes. Hello. Morning, everyone. My name is Sumati Subramaniam. I'm representing NORSE Norwegian Research Center. So we are an RTO. We are based all along the coast of Norway. It is a pleasure for us to jointly host this with NEREUS. I will say a lot more at the end of the session, but for now, I would just like to say that we are interested in increasing our participation in Cluster 3 topics because there is a national interest to look into preparedness and resilience together with EU countries. And so we are very happy that our NCP for Cluster 3 can be with us. She will present the main results and interests of Norway, and I will follow up with my institution and expertise and a way that we can all link up together right at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. So we move on to our first speaker. The focus of today's session is to learn more about the upcoming call of Horizon Europe Cluster 3, civil society and civil security for society. We are glad to welcome Murarike Kamann from the SCP Cluster 3 Security Research Germany from the VDI Technology Center in Düsseldorf. I copied for you in the chat a link where you can see who is the NCP in your country. And the NCP are entities supported by the European Commission and the national level to support different stakeholders with their EU activities and bidding into EU projects. Mura, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'll jump right in with my presentation. Is that correct, Raya?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. There you go. Okay, I hope everyone can see my presentation. And first of all, thank you for inviting me and having me over today. What I've done is that I've put together a brief presentation on Horizon Europe Cluster 3 on the different destinations, but also on the national contact points and what we offer for potential applicants. My name is Mora, and I'm working for the national focal point in Germany. We are commissioned by the Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space in Germany, and are responsible for Germany. Like Roy already said, if you're based on in a different member state, you can either Google or go to the list that she put in the chat to find your responsible national contact point for the subject matter. Yeah, let's jump right in. The work program 2025 was published fairly recently on May 14th, so it's very fresh, but you can also find that online already, and I've included a link and the presentation. This year's deadline for the submission of project proposals is the 12th of November. And when flipping through the pages, what you'll notice is that the topics in general are, almost all of them are very, very open, which also then requires you as a potential applicant to read fairly carefully. The destinations remain the same as in previous years, and yeah, I'll discuss the first four. I'll address the topics briefly to give us all a good idea of what we can expect and perhaps give you an idea where to read further if you're interested in the subject. So the destinations are fighting crime and terrorism, water management, disaster resilient societies, and resilient infrastructure. There's also cybersecurity, but I've excluded it because there is a other national contact point which is responsible for this destination. General recommendations to start you off if you're considering Horizon Europe Cluster 3 as a potential place to place an application. Like I've already said, especially with the open topics, it's highly recommended to read the introduction and call text carefully. It's also really good, and I'm kind of doing it here, to build your network in advance, because there's always the requirement to have access from at least 3 different member states, and I think all calls also require you to have practitioners in the field that you're applying for. This means, for example, if you're considering to apply for a fighting crime and terrorism call, then you most likely will need police authorities to be involved as a project partner. Generally also make use of previous projects, research them, look them up, and see if you can add to what they've already researched on. I think that gives us a good orientation for us to have a look at the first destination, which is fighting crime and terrorism. Just briefly, so the first open topic is on modern information and forensic evidence analysis and on frontline policing. And what the projects are supposed to achieve is to develop tools and skills as well as methodologies to strengthen police work and forensic work. This includes an improvement of cross-border mechanisms, and you can approach this topic by choosing either one of those options, which is either a focus on technology or a focus on forensics. Then for the second topic that I put on here, open topic on prevention, detection, and deterrence of various forms of crime and terrorism through an enhanced understanding of the related societal issues. Again, the topic kind of says it that the project aims to improve the mentioned fields. In this topic itself, or in the project, it is expected that you emphasize on cultural and societal research, and you can then choose whether or not to either focus on radicalization or on crime and terror. Why is this not working? Two more topics that are available in the destination fighting crime and terrorism as the open topic on improved intelligence, picture and enhanced prevention, detection and deterrence of various forms of organized crime. So again, the project should emphasize investigation and intelligence as well as sharing of information across borders and addressing cross-border crime. And then as the fourth topic in fighting crime and terrorism, this is quite a unique one, something that we haven't had before like this. It requires you to include a Ukrainian actor. And at the end of the project, the humanitarian demining should be improved. This does not only include the technical aspect, but also subjects such as risk awareness. Moving on to border management, there's only 3 topics in the destination of border management, which, yeah, caused me to put it on one slide only. And I think the first subject or a topic on here might actually be something that you want to look into if you're more working in the field of space, because it does deal with border surveillance and border protection. It includes the subject matter of real-time situation awareness. It requires you to consider how to confirm and assess distress situation at sea through, for example, remote situation awareness and sensing. So if that's something, some of the buzzwords that ring a bell, please go ahead, find the work program, have a deeper look, and perhaps contact your national contact point. Then the second topic on secure and facilitated crossing of external borders is looking into digital identification solutions and biometrics. The third topic on better customs and supply chain is the customs topic, meaning that customs authority 1 or 2 have to be included. It deals with supply chain security and the improved safe flow of goods. Moving on, the disaster resilient society destination. The first topic on citizens and regional and or local authorities engagement in enhanced disaster risk awareness, including education and preparedness, is quite extensive, and it gives you 2 options. It's the first option to increase preparedness through through learning from past disasters, strengthening the sharing of knowledge between authorities and citizens. And then the second option that you could consider in your project would be to strengthen dialogue between the science and technical community as well as policymakers or local communities. So yeah, either or, both preparedness or mechanisms for dialogue are the options that you have in your project. Then for the second call, improving disaster risk management governance to ensure self-sufficiency and sustainability of operations in support of enhanced resilience. For this topic, you again have options, and that is either to consider the topic from a CBRN threat angle, or to consider it from a climate or extreme weather events perspective. For the third topic, that was something that I highlighted again because I think it potentially could be of interest to you. And that is because in this topic, testing and validating tools, technologies, and data use in cross-border prevention, preparedness, and response to climate, extreme and geological events, and chemical, biological, or radiological emergency threats. The technologies that are mentioned include artificial intelligence, machine learning, sensors for detection, but also, again, the information exchange and the cross-border emergency communication. So perhaps that might be something where the technologies that you work with are particularly considered. Yeah. Anyhow, moving on to topic 4, advancing autonomous systems and robotics for high-risk disaster response, strengthening disaster resilience in conflict-afflicted crisis zone. This last DRS topic is the second of the 2 Ukraine topics, so this requires to have actors from Ukraine involved in the project implementation, and it addresses the use of sensors and the autonomous systems in a crisis zone. So it also deals with remote sensing, perhaps something for you to also follow up on, yeah, in your own time then. Yeah. Lastly, the infrastructure call. The first one is an open topic for improved preparedness for response to and recovery from large-scale disruption of critical infrastructure. For this one, it's especially recommendable to research previous projects. There's also the website, which I haven't included yet, EUCIP website, which has an overview of findings of projects that might be important to consider if you're looking into a project proposal in an infrastructure topic. In this first topic, you can consider natural or man-made disasters, and what is important to also work on the interdependencies between the critical infrastructure and how they might influence each other if there's a failure of one of the critical infrastructures. Then for the second open topic, the human factor is supposed to be addressed, and that's something that we haven't seen before, so it's quite a fresh and new topic. So this might include threats to insiders. The human resource aspect is supposed to be, or should be, considered. And for this particular topic, it is a must that social sciences and humanities have to be included when proposing a topic. So that was a really quick walk through the different destinations that you'll find when you're looking at the work program. I'd also like to say something about finding your partners for a consortium, because that's something that if you're stepping onto the scene, that sometimes requires some orientation. So you can go ahead and look at the funding and tenders portal. There's also the security research map that you can kind of start your search from. There are various networks events. There's the NEREUS website, which I put up, where the EU, they always publish new events that you can attend. And there was the Informationstag 2025, which we held in April in Germany. That has passed. SME2G, unfortunately, has also passed for this year. However, the Info Days Cluster 3, which you will find on the NEREUS website, will be in June, and they're also online. Generally speaking, if you're looking for partners, please do reach out to your national contact point. We do have the connections to the other national contact points of the other member states, and we're quite frequently and are very open to sharing your information or your project ideas with our counterparts, and they then know best where to send it in their member state. Final slide. The services that we offer as National Contact Point are listed here. So we're quite open to individual consult on your proposal writing, on your partner search, and try and find answers or have answers ready for you for specific challenges that you might incur. For the proposal pack, please contact us in advance. And then, yeah, there's also the link to our newsletter. Again, if you're based in a different member state, do and see if you can find your contact point. Otherwise, email us and we'll help you find them as well. And then, for me, the only thing left to say is thank you. And here are our contacts from the National Contact Point. And I think that was a intense but good summary of what you can expect when looking through the work program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mura, for your very illustrative and concise presentation. I think it gives our participants a good overview what to expect, what's coming. I like to open the floor for questions to Mura Kaman. And I have myself one to start with. Maybe that can serve as an icebreaker. Mura, the projects that have been selected in the past can often be a good, let's say, source of information and a model if you want to build or develop a project. Where can I find overviews? And do you have an overview of selected projects of the past, let's say 2 or 3 years, where also you could say these projects have a relevance for the use of space technologies?
I'd probably go ahead and look online. Most projects, they do have a website where they present themselves. So you can really look online what kind of projects are out there. You can also approach us because we usually, we do have an overview of what kind of projects are out there.
So do you have a summary, like to say in 2023 we selected, I don't know, 5, 6 projects, and you can provide us with the acronym?
I can look them up. I like, if you were to ask me right now on the spot, I couldn't. But if you were to send me an email, I'll probably see what I could come up with. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Specific subjects.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions to Mura Kaman? Please write them in the chat. I don't see them for the moment. This time I had contacted 3 former project consortia that had been selected, but unfortunately they were unable to join us this time. But in the future, we will look in mobilizing consortia that are implementing now projects in Cluster 3. Might be interesting to see what they are concretely working on. Then we can move on to our next speaker, Line Marie Sörsdahl. You are the representative of the research Council of Norway, and give us a bit background on the activities of Norway in the domain of Cluster 3. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and it was really great listening to Maura going through all of the topics in the 5 destination, missing just the cybersecurity destination for cluster 3. So it's quite a broad area. That's important to know. I also just wanted to add that the Commission has this website called Cordis, where you can search all the projects. And also use keywords like space. And of course, it might be a bit time consuming, but also here you could follow what has been financed by the different call number and ID. But it's a good way to just find the acronym and name of the projects. And then sometimes there is a link also to the project's own website, which then takes you further into actually seeing how those projects are structured in their work packages. So that's just a tip. And I'll share my screen. Let's see if it works. Let's go. And it's always a bit of a technical. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'll just start, and this is results not even last year, 2024, because we're just getting into the final results and contracts, but this is just an overview of Norway in total. So 3.2% of all allocated funds from Horizon Europe have gone to Norway. And that means that 9% of all projects has a Norwegian participation. And we also see that a lot of that Norway participants and have actors in a lot of applications with high quality. So 24.3% of all application could have been recommended for funding. That doesn't mean that they all get one, which in comparison is 17% for the rest of Europe. So there are some really good partners and opportunities in Norway. If we look at the return for Norway per cluster, so this is the whole innovation and research program with the 3 pillars, and you see the clusters in the middle, and you see cluster 3 here. So what this shows is that the thin green line shows the percentage of funding allocated, and the thick blue shows the money. So it's basically saying that the Norwegians actors are involved in a lot of projects, but in comparison, there's not that much funding being brought back from the cluster 3. So that's a little bit to think about in overall. And I don't have a slide to show that, but Norwegian actors generally do it very well in disaster resilient society calls and in the cybersecurity calls. In 2023, we also have a lot of successful proposals in border management. But we do see, and as you all know, that this is EU collaborations, so you need to find your right partners. And there are not that many Norwegian coordinator projects, which also mean that Norway sometimes more participate as a work package leader or as a sometimes a company or again these security practitioners doing tests. So I thought I would also give you some advice that the Commission has also shared, and Maura was quite good at also saying that you need to read the text of the calls very carefully, and especially these administrative and eligibility conditions, particularly since Norway also is an EEA country, so you need to make sure that that we can participate in the call. And make sure that your proposals also match the expectations. There are several templates to fill out, and the mandatory annexes are really important here, particularly for the security practitioners. This program is very practitioner-oriented, so you need to sort of link up with the actual organization who are going to make use of the research that you do. And overall, just sort of like the basic sort of respect the page limit, try to describe what you want to achieve, and choose your consortium on what your project needs. Again, this is sort of like finding the right partners, and also sort of carefully describe the impact. And I also wanted to shortly also go by some mistakes. This was a presentation given by Sale Johnson at the pre-info day. So just also a shout out for you to attend the info days now in June, because you'll be able to get not only detailed information about the calls, but also get a lot of information based on the experience of evaluators and NCPs. So these are 13 common mistakes that evaluators in the UK have identified. And I thought I'd just quickly go through them, and you stop me if there isn't time. But the first one is, of course, about planning, and that the project hasn't been planned out adequately. So that, and this is sort of where you, if you have now found the topic that you want to apply for in the work program, it's a good idea to start with maybe writing out like a 2-pager, and try to visualize where that project will be at the end, what sort of success that proposal will have, and then find out which people you need to involve and what researchers, so to work yourself a little bit backwards. And you can use that sort of 2-pagers to also help get other partners at brokerage events and try to build your project. And sort of like a pathway to success should always include sort of like the why, the what, the who, the when, and how. And then that leads into the second common mistake, is that the consortium quality, that you haven't chosen the right partners. And the consortium can be built sort of bottom up or top down. Like bottom up, you might already know and have partners that you want to work with and trust, or top down, that you have to identify sort of new people and new tasks. But you have to make sure that in your proposal that you provide justifications to the evaluators to make sure that they are aware that you have the right partners and the right competencies for the proposal. And justifications can, of course, be previous successful projects, and of course their scientific merits and papers. But it's important to make sure that you have actually the right partners to do the work that is required for the topic. And here also we're back to the technical part A in the portal. The reviewers will scrutinize that for the partner profile, so make sure that that has a lot of information about your partners and their merits. And also in part B, in the excellence section, you need to make sure that it's clear that this group of a consortium can actually produce the excellent research that is needed to answer the call. And of course, when you're writing about implementation, you need to show how the whole of the consortium can work and how each partner complements each other. And for the actual content, there are several sort of mistakes that can happen. And one is that it's the scientific part is written like a scientific paper. What is meant by that is that, of course, it has to be scientific. Oh, and I see I skipped the third one, but that's about the flow of the proposal. And this goes to, you might have several people writing the actual proposal, but you should make sure that one person can try to bring it together to make sure that it flows. And some sort of say that for the excellence part, of course, you have a scientist writing that up, but the impact, it would be good to have somebody who is able to provide sort of more details, also on a layperson level on the impact. You might know that for evaluators, the experts might come from the industry sector and also from the practitioner side, so there might not only be scientific experts. And for the implementation or quality of implementation, that could be something like the consortium lead writes. Yeah, and that leads back to the excellence part shouldn't be written as a scientific paper. What is meant by that is do not use a lot of equation or algorithms. make sure that it's clear what is actually the excellence of the project. And one mistake is also not using enough images or diagrams or tables, which sort of helps the evaluator remember the proposal, but make sure that you reference all the images that you use in the text and that they're clear on what they provide. Conclusion of the proposal, not well thought through. Construction, I mean, this is sort of goes back to that you have to show effort. It's quite clear when something has been well written, make each of the sentence in the proposal worth it. That makes sure that there feels some sort of trust that it's actually thought well out. The seventh mistake is sort of abstract and introduction. Make sure that you capture the attention of the evaluators. Can be inspiring or exciting. Start with the key message. Say what the project will achieve beyond the state of art. I mean, also, if possible, have a great acronym and make that acronym meaningful. And you also should try to explain why the topic is important for your field of work. And here, of course, make statements about missing gaps, missing links, make it exciting. And then there's the scientific story. And here is again, like, the scientific story might be chaotic and not coherent. You need to sort of establish, approve, and convince the evaluators. So, of course, your proposal should include a strong concept or strong theory, hypothesis, and explain what happens before and the reasoning why you carried out this work. So here is again, build on the topic scope and the expected outcomes. I think my colleague, the NCP from the UK, I think she sometimes uses the story about the shopping list, that if the commission in the description of the work program and the call have asked for you to get apples and oranges from the store, then don't bring back watermelon. Make sure that you actually sort of provide what the commission wants to, and that you hit the target and expected outcomes. Yeah. Ooh. I'm jumping very fast between the slides here. And then mistake 9, scientific soundness has not been followed. This goes back to make sure the data is viable and reliable. Make sure that the evaluator feels that the conclusion that can be drawn from the data you collect are strong, and that the methodology is suitable for the project. This is, of course, very important, as you also see in mistake 11, that if you have multi-research approach, which these calls require, you need to make sure that the methodologies are suitable for the project. And here's also the ethics and making sure that you follow them. Mistake 10, not clearly stating the project impact. This is, of course, super important. You need to be clear and emphasize, but also realistic in terms of what type of scale up you are talking about and how the impact sort of affects. It can be economic, specific market areas, scientific, how the information can be passed on to other research, social, what improvements would society be achieved, or technological, going beyond the state of the art. And here you might also think about your different target groups and how you will make it different from each of them. For example, if the call is in, you're answering it, is within fighting crime and terrorism, how will it benefit the law authorities or the police if that is the practitioners within the call? How will this sort of positive change through the work of the project? And then back to the methodologies. Here comes back to a point more I also give that social science and humanities are required from some of these, or should be almost all projects. But you also have engineering, digital experts, and you need to make sure how all of these parts play together and that there is a coherence and yeah, a good way of working together with different disciplines. I don't know, C. And then there's the quality of implementation, that does not support excellence and impact. So here you need to make sure that all the parts support the overall claim, and that there's a good quality and effective work plans. Use gut chart, and make sure also that you're able to monitor the progress of the project, and also that you have a identified critical risk and mitigation of those risks with risk measures. And finally, the quality of the consortium is not adequately highlighted. You might have brought all of the good people together, but you also sometimes need to remind the evaluators that these are the good people or the best people to actually do the work. So make sure that you actually highlight that you have people that can meet the participation criteria. And just again, the brokerage event, I think, is only physical this year, but the info days are both virtual and physical, so please attend them. Yeah. I think that's it from my part. I'll stop sharing.
Great, thank you. I think you gave a very, very precious advice to teams that are planning to start working on a project proposal. I like now to open again the floor for questions and comments. Are there any to Line, Maria? No, maybe later.
Sorry, Roja.
Yes.
Jan Martin Solstad, I think he raised his hand, or it was my.
Please write your questions or comments
Yeah.
in the chat, because we can't see you all. The screen is too small. If you have questions, we are very interested to respond to you. But I have one to Line. Line, what do you, so you said Norway's expertise is in cybersecurity and activities related to civil emergencies. What kind of projects is the most interesting for Norwegian stakeholders? Is it more research? Is it coordinated action? How would you describe it?
Well, that's a really good question, and of course, I mean, when we're talking about this, we're talking about sometimes where Norwegian actors have had success previously, but as Morales will know, is that for cluster 3 there is an oversubscription for some calls, which means we have a lot of qualified applications, and you need to have a very high score to actually be funded, which means that there are also a lot of good applications that are not funded. So there are this little bit of element of excellence and luck. So also within the other areas, there are sort of good Norwegian applications that don't normally or haven't been funded. So I would say that, for example, within fighting crime and terrorism, there's a huge potential to work with Norwegian actors due to the structure of our of the different levels and how the society are organized. You might be to get in the right contact with the right partners. But of course, you also need the right European partners. So it's sort of like finding the scientific balance with the practitioner balance. But of course, I mean, disaster resilience societies and cybersecurities are fields that are very strong in Norway and also have had EU funding. But we might also see a drop when the 2024 results are ready. So this, yeah.
Okay. Sumati, you wanted to highlight which are the topics that are of interest for your organization. And maybe you take the floor and highlight where you have expertise and why certain topics are interesting for your organization. Please, the floor is yours.
Roger, you are muted.
We see your slide, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Do you hear me now? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll divide my short presentation into two parts. So first, I'll just tell you a little bit about my institution, and this carries on from where Lena Marie left off. So she presented Norway. I'll dive a bit more into my institution, and then a second part, as in how the participants today can link up and perhaps go through to building a consortium. So firstly, my institution, so it's North Norwegian Research Center, and we are located all along the coast of Norway. And we also have an office in Brussels. It is a research and technology organization with about 750 employees. The main headquarters is in Bergen, but we are also found in the north and also in the south and in Oslo. And it's an independent research institute where we mainly focus on knowledge dissemination, commercialization, and policy influence. I won't go too much into the details of all the different divisions, but we have three main ones: energy and technology, climate and environment, and health and social sciences. And here under energy and technology, I show the ones that can be most relevant for the topics in cluster 3. It's observing systems, R&D infrastructure, energy and enabling technologies. And then we also have under health and social sciences, sustainability and renewal, where you might find interesting partners for your applications. So I do have a series of slides which we will share with you, and you can look at it in detail, which describes the various expertise, the main capacities. So, and we also have some infrastructure, which is interesting. For example, the research craft that we have drones and autonomous systems. We have a mechatronics innovation lab. Under environment, we also have several capacities which are interesting for the topics. And along with infrastructure, and in social sciences also, we look into public and social acceptance, stakeholder engagement, economic aspects of sustainability, analysis of policy, and social modeling and AI. There are, for examples, we're looking at social simulation using agent-based modeling, social digital twin of Norway, which might be interesting for you, and also computational models, conceptual models for analysis, and so on. So NORS is one of Norway's top 10 institutions contributing to Horizon Europe. We are the second leading RTO in Norway, and we do particularly well in cluster 5, 6, and 4 in research infrastructures and European partnerships related to energy. And our success rate is higher than the EU average, which is about 28%. We, as a coordinator, we managed to get 32% funded of the applications that we send in as a coordinator, and we have a success rate of 26 as partner. So this is the average for 21 to 24 calls. And we collaborate with major Norwegian organizations and also actors. So this is important, especially for cluster 3 topics, when you need the link to the practitioners in the countries. So towards cluster 3 topics, the institution has a strategic initiative which is approved by the board, and we are looking to identify and build strategic partnerships and collaborations and participate in cluster 3 related topics. We've already signed a collaboration with the Naval Group, which is one of 4 organizations that's positioning themselves to build frigates for Norway. We also, and this application was signed in connection with an application for a maritime AI to the Research Council of Norway. And at the same time, we're building partnerships with Digital Norway, Norwegian Armed Forces, Defense Research Establishment, and so on. So the practitioners we have links with, and we are also aiming to strengthen further. We will establish a Center for Defense, Civil Protection, and Emergency Preparedness with Tromsø as a node. I showed you earlier that we do have a big presence in Tromsø, so we will be building out that. And we are building a digital twin for social simulation in crisis and emergency preparedness. So these are strengths that we can bring into cluster 3 topics. So that's for the presentation of my institution. I will now go on to present how the participants today can concretely build their networks. So Roya, can we send this out to all the participants, and perhaps they can indicate? So the purpose is we've got all the topics listed, and you can indicate your research institution, the researchers who are interested, or maybe not research institution, but your institution who's interested. If you are interested in a role as a coordinator or as a partner, what you can bring to this topic, if you know of other partners, and if you have any additional comments. So if we give ourselves...
Can you maybe show this table that you prepared, that people have an idea? Because now we see the last slide from your presentation, but maybe could you share the table that you prepared and explain where to fill in what? So then we can share it with the registered participants.
Yes. So I hope you see it now. So these are the topics from what Mura presented, including the cybersecurity ones. And so here is where I was referring to. You can list your institution, who's interested in your institution, what role you would like to play if you're already thinking of coordinating, or if you would like to be a partner, what expertise you would like to bring, if you have connections to other partners, and any additional comments that Roy or myself, Mira or Margarita should consider. We will then go through this and we can facilitate some meetings. So that was what we thought. But Roya, what do you think? Could we post this so that all participants have access to it? And in the next 2 weeks, they can complete it and we can then look at it and bring people together?
We could create like something like a Google document, and we could share. Could you maybe create the Google and we share the link with all the participants in our follow-up? I think that's feasible.
Yes. So if that's okay for participants, we can, when we send out the follow-up email today or tomorrow, we can include some of the presentations, and we can include this expression of interest form, and everyone can fill it within a deadline of 2 weeks, perhaps.
Yes, that's a good idea. And then we can see in which direction we schedule also next info sessions, maybe with a specific thematic focus. Then we can see a little bit what are ideas, what are priorities and interests.
Yes.
Are there any questions to this table? Maybe you could have all a look. I don't see any. Thank you, Sumatri, for structuring this. I think it's a good approach to better channel feedback and to get a better overview. Then before we close, we came a good way. Are there any NEREUS organizations that would like to bid into the call and would like to briefly say something about their organization? Please let us know in the chat. Are there any organizations that are new to the NEREUS network and who would like to say something about their organization, who think about bidding into the calls and like to share their views? Also not? Okay, good. So let's see, maybe people feel more comfortable with the table. I see here, I'm new to the network, Maxims Theophilos, but I'm not sure to say for now. I must get more in touch with information about the calls.
Yes.
Maxim, it would be interesting to know, you are from what kind of organization? Are you from a cluster, a research organization, a university? If you could let us know. Maxims is from the Riga Technical University, so from academia. Thank you, Maxim. I hope the presentation and the links to the website will help you to get a better overview, and we look forward to exchange with you again. You have also an NCP, and if you follow the chat, it was, I think, the second link that I copied you in, where you find also the NCP in your country and who might have also specific information for you. Okay, before we close, any more reactions? Yes. So we have Jan Martin Solstadt. Finnmark Fylke Kommune is just observing. Relevant for our only Norwegian bordering to Russia county. I'm trying to motivate relevant actors in our county for these relevant types of projects. Jan, if I understand correctly, you are from a Norwegian county. Is that correct? Could you say something about? Yeah, okay. So we are very pleased to have Norwegian player on board. Very good. We have Manos Lekakis from Greece. We are interested in submitting Horizon CL Cluster 3 2021-01 DRS-03 from Bespoke Solutions. Could we go through the call once more? What do you mean? Do you have a specific question for this call? Okay. Mura, if that is not too much of a hassle, could you maybe go again in the DRS-03 topic, and we see what are the ideas of the Commission for the part climate extremes and CBRN and geological eventualities.
Hold on. Let me see if I can perhaps better find it on the actual work program, because I only have the titles on there. Okay. Now I just have to share my screen. Let's see if I can. Perhaps it will be more useful if we have a look there and get the work program. So what you should now see is my browser and the work program, which I open to the DRS topic 03. Are there any particular questions? Because I mean, at the end of the day, this is what it looks like. Here, for example.
Well, Manos asked, does the fact that it is open topic mean that we could focus to some? So can he pick some, for instance, only CBRN?
Let me scroll. Yes. So here you have the options. So in this case, you can choose options. For example, here that you have the artificial intelligence and machine learning, and then you have in option D the alert system to detect CBRN threats. But then again, do read the scope of the topic as well as the introduction, everything very carefully. But this is what it would look like, and yes, there are different options that you can focus on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think it's vital for any topic. The presentation can give you some guidance, some structure of the work program. However, to get really an idea, you need to go into the respective chapter of the work program. And maybe it's good to download the whole work program or even print it out so you can go and go also to the different references. Here is a common question from Kimani Bellotto. Our company Sistema GmbH, based in Vienna, is interested in participating to the topic DRS, as we will write in the file that Sumati will share. For now, we just want to say thanks for the great presentation. Perhaps in the next follow-up, we can make a proper presentation of our company. Thanks. Okay, so DRS seems to be for today's participants quite interesting topics. One more common question from Marit Vampheim. I present Energy Nord, and we are a cluster for energy transition and value creation in northern Norway, with partners also in the northern Nordics. Energy security is relevant for our partners, and we are curious on how we can position ourselves and our partners to connect with relevant projects. Thank you for the interesting meeting. Okay. I think we are a little bit ahead of time. We have some rich feedback. I think there are no more questions. I wish to thank sincerely two speakers. Murakaman, I thank you really for this concise and good overview. Line Marie Zorsdal, many thanks for giving us the optics from Norway. I like also to pass on the floor to Sumatri Subramaniam to share also some views from her side.
Yes. Thank you, Roya. It's nice. I think it's useful that we were able to bring in the Norwegian NCP Line to explain a little bit about where Norway wants to position itself in this cluster. We do have the expertise and we do have the infrastructure as well. And as you see from the questions, Norwegian participants are eager. Well, I think the next step is when we share the expression of interest file, we can see who we can connect, and hopefully we can bring in the Norwegian actors more into cluster 3, which was the main objective from my side. I guess we will share all the presentations together with the file after this. And if you can also, I think I will add a column to say if you give us permission to share your email, then we can connect everyone easier. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sumati. And to Maxime's question, yes, everybody who joined today is in our database and is invited to respond to the file. Matteo, yes, we will share all presentations. The presenters gave us the permission. They will be available via our website. And I invite you also regular to share our website. We will have follow-up sessions. We will continue with info sessions on the Horizon Europe Cluster 3. Partners of ours are interested in this initiative. We want to bring also some projects to the floor that have been in the past selected for funding. And it's quite important for our community to better understand and highlight the linkages of the objectives that are key in Horizon Europe Cluster 3 and how space technology, Earth observation, global satellite navigation, telecommunication feed into these activities. With this, we like to close. Look forward to keeping in touch with you and we'll be glad to hear more. Thank you.
Thank you.